really hope you like this video. Just subscribe, like, and click the bell to be notified of more content just like this. Right, so today we're back with Zoomers as we look ahead to the second weekend of the Premier League season in the company of Charles McCann and John Richardson. Rico, good morning. Charlie, good morning. Rico, how are you?
I'm very well, Ron. Not as well as you, look, by the looks of things. Been dyeing that hair again.
I wouldn't bother with the shave, but I put a shirt on for you today.
Very nice too.
How are you, Charlie?
Good fun. Good fun. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're due thunderstorms here in Gibraltar today, so fingers crossed we skillfully avoid them, so I can have my Friday night gala this evening. So
I was about to say, did you recover from your trip back to England?
No, we had a great time. It was fabulous catching up with, and of course, no, it was just fabulous, and we'll be back very, very soon. Hopefully, back for Christmas, and who knows? If I were a betting man, I would maybe say in 12 months' time we'll be back in the UK full time.
We'll see. Listen, Rico, Gareth Bale, I suppose, is the talk of the week, isn't it? Amongst a lot of other things. Jack Grealish signing a contract, Nuno signing a contract. It's been a busy week, hasn't it?
Yeah. Thank goodness that Gareth Bale will actually be playing some football games very shortly. A little bit surprised that he's gone to Tottenham. I know Man United were into him, but I know Tottenham had first refusal. That was on the original deal when he left for Real Madrid. I think it's a great signing. People going on at Man United about Jadon Sancho, and for me, Gareth Bale is a far better player and far cheaper. Well, certainly in terms of transfer fees, it's a 10
even at 31.
Yeah, at 31. Well, he's bursting with energy. I mean, he hasn't done anything except play golf in the last 6 months. So he might have the yips with his golf, but as far as football's concerned, he'd be raring to go. I mean, he's everything that Tottenham need at the moment, because Tottenham have been slumbering over under Mourinho for the last few months. It's a Tottenham side that lacks energy, which is very surprising, because under Pochettino they had loads of it. So Gareth Bale is a fantastic acquisition.
They've also got the left back, Charlie, from Real Madrid, who was brilliant at Sevilla, Regallo. They're having a go for it, Spurs, aren't they, in fairness?
You say that, but I was staggered when the British press allowed Mourinho to come out and say his team didn't press Everton enough. Or I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's his team, isn't it? He was basically saying they weren't fit. Well, whose fault's that? Why did Harry Winks not? He's one of the most, he's in the Gylfi Theo camp. Harry Winks for me, he's one of the most overrated players in the galaxy. But he never laid a glove on Everton. We will find out how good Everton are, maybe against the Baggies this weekend, certainly at Crystal Palace, because Mitrovic and co, Mihailovic and co, they won't let Everton have as much ball without sort of tackling them. But I was so disappointed with Spurs. Højbjerg at least eventually got a yellow card for his tackle. But I was staggered with that Mourinho was allowed to come out and say and criticise his players without anybody turning around to him and saying, "But this is your team. If they weren't, why weren't they? I know they've got a lot. They've got a lot on. Who will Bale come in for? Lucas Moura, you'd say, on the right, and that will look good. But why wasn't Dele Alli fit? Why wasn't Harry Winks fit? Where does it leave Dele Alli? Surely he's surplus to requirements now. And this is a big week as well. Okay, they got Leyton Orient. That Southampton game. Southampton really disappointed me in the first week. Not to score this much vaunted Southampton team, never really looked like scoring. Had one good chance, Che Adams against Crystal Palace, and then to get beat. They played a strong team against Brentford midweek against Brentford in the League Cup. So that's a massive game, I think, even at the second day of the season. I think on Sunday afternoon between Southampton and Spurs at St Mary's, that is a massive game. Of course, the big game is Chelsea-Liverpool. Let me
just ask you one on. Okay, you talked about Spurs. What about Everton? I mean, James Rodriguez received plaudits. What was your? It was a great goal. I love the goal. It was an old-fashioned header, that one, wasn't it? What was your take on Everton?
I would I mean, obviously you get excited. You've got to sort of temper, I think, that enthusiasm by the fact that the manager of the hosts came out and said his team were undercooked for whatever reason. There are bigger, I think, as I say, I will make a sort of judgment, I think, on Everton and where they are when somebody tackles the likes of Alan and Doucouré. We know we can cope. Alan, we know we can cope. And James, we were good. But I'm convinced that was a really underprepared Spurs team. And I don't think that is the true barometer just yet.
I think a lot of teams, Rico, will be in the same boat because of this, absolutely crazy, unusual situation we find ourselves in. But in the McCaffrey household, do you know who was our star of the week? And we couldn't believe how fit he looked, was Andy Carroll for Newcastle.
Oh, don't say that.
He was like an incredible shrinking man. He looked, you know what? He looked fantastic, didn't he? We love Andy.
Hey, if you get a fit Andy Carroll on the pitch, you've got a top player. I mean, at times in the air he's unplayable, isn't he? But how many times does he play? That's the problem. He only played a handful of games last season. Got a 12-month extension of his contract. Very lucky lad, really. I mean, Steve Bruce believes in him. It's whether Andy Carroll believes in himself. He's got to do something. I mean, he owes a lot. He's at times he's a busted flush. You look for him and he's injured, or he's not at the races. A fit Andy Carroll, firing all cylinders, is a top player and a player that would get in an England team if you want to play that well. But how many times does he play like that? So I'm a bit like Charlie, a little bit apprehensive yet.
You're such skeptics, aren't you? You Everton and Newcastle fans are saying. In fairness to Andy Carroll, geez, he looked fit though, didn't he? He looked slim. He looked terrific.
Yeah, it's one game. It's one game. In a month's time, if we're still saying that, fantastic. And Charlie will say the same about his Everton.
Absolutely.
The other signing that looks to have gone through today is Thiago Alcantara to Liverpool. It's been mooted. Maybe it means Gini Wijnaldum moves on. I don't know. They're linked with Ismail Sarr, who I must admit I like at Watford. Do you think they'll go in for more, Charlie, or do you think that might be it at Liverpool? And what was your impression of their opening day performance against Leeds?
I didn't think Jurgen Klopp showed Leeds United enough respect, if I was being honest. I think when they went out with that side, how he left Fabinho out, Jordan Henderson again was undercooked. Goodness me, he'd only had 3 or 4 days training, and of course he'd missed the end of the season. Fabinho hadn't impressed against Arsenal. To play Keita and Wijnaldum, my feelings on Wijnaldum, I think Liverpool should get rid of him. Whether they will get rid of him, I don't know, because you could argue Thiago is maybe more a central player than a sort of wide left. I think they will make another major signing if it's he's one for the future, the guy from Watford. But I don't think against Chelsea, I think you will find that Fabinho is back in that central midfield alongside Henderson with another week underneath his belt. I wouldn't think Thiago Alcantara has got to be registered by the Premier League in another 50 minutes. You wouldn't think he'll start. He gets on the bench at Stamford Bridge. But that Chelsea side is fascinating as well. This is a cracking game, and this will be interesting. I would suggest Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell will play for Chelsea. But Kai Havertz, he's got to, that was an underwhelming, shall we say, debut against Brighton. And let's get it right. I thought they were lucky. I thought the best team, it probably deserved to be a draw. Daniel Rees as well. Does he persevere with him against Sadio Mane instead of Cesar Azpilicueta, who they wanted to get another? He's got a big side to pick as Frank Lampard in one of the. Certainly the game of, the first game, of course, of the Big Six in inverted commas, although after Spurs' performance, is it the Big Five?
Rico, I wonder when they look round the Chelsea sort of dressing room and the club, and I wonder who was the scout that said that Kepa Arrizabalaga is worth 71 million quid. I wonder who the bloke or the woman it was that picked him.
I imagine he's not there. I think the P45 would have been delivered. He's never looked the part, has he? He looks very frail. He's not big in stature. Okay, at times he's been, as they say, a decent shot stopper, but he's not up to it. Just back to Liverpool, because you remember on the last Zoomers, we talked about Jurgen Klopp, and there's something going on behind the scenes at the and I think it is, and it hasn't come out yet, and I can't crack it because you have to get in there and talk to people who are going to tell you certain things, and on this they haven't so far. But I think Jurgen Klopp's been having a little battle with the financiers there. That's why the Alcantara thing, he was denying, or he certainly wasn't playing up to it, because I think at times he thought this isn't going to go through. So I don't really want to embarrass the club, because they were haggling over the fee, and the same things happened with the Watford lad. So you just wonder now. Jurgen Klopp has obviously won this battle to bring Alcantara in, because the Liverpool bean counters thought that 30-odd million was too much. I think they've got him for 26, which a lot of people are still saying is too much for a 29-year-old. But obviously Klopp wants to strengthen his side, because you always strengthen in, when you are strong. Man United did it for years on end, didn't they? Arsenal did it at times. Liverpool, Klopp wants to do it, but I think he's had a little battle in the boardroom to get that one over the line.
At the same time as well, one guy you believe he really wanted, Timo Werner. I mean, it's early days, but if anybody looks like a Premier League player, it's him, isn't it?
He definitely wanted him, and again, Liverpool wouldn't pay was it 56 million? So there have been a few rumblings behind the scenes there, because Timo Werner does look a good player, one who scores goals. He's fast. All right, the argument would be, he's not going to get a regular place in the Liverpool side. But that you don't say that now, because it's a squad game, isn't it? Especially with the host of games in, such a concertinaed season. You need a huge squad, and I'm sure that Klopp, would have kept him happy. Now, all right, at Chelsea, he's going to play every week, and that probably swayed it in the end. But yeah, in answer to your original question, Timo Werner is a very good player who I like the Chelsea buys. I think Havertz is way overpriced. I'm not certain about him, as Charlie alluded to. The others, I think, are top guys. Thiago Silva, 35. People say he's still got the legs. If he has, that is a fantastic signing, because he will solidify the back four. But they still need that goalkeeper. And there's talk of the Rennes keeper coming in, isn't it?
Yeah, Mendy. Yeah. Old Rico, just a last one with you for the time being. Jack Grealish, are you surprised he signed a deal? He's one of 733,000 players linked with Manchester United who hasn't gone to Manchester United. What was your take on that?
As you know, I'm a huge Jack Grealish fan. I think deep down he's disappointed that nobody has really come in for him with big money. There's been sniffs from Man United and a few other clubs, but nobody's put the hard cash down. I think deep down I know he's a Villa lad, and he says he loves Villa, which he does, but I think deep down he wanted to move this summer. So he's been placated with £130,000 a week. I think I could be placated with that.
Charlie, I don't know if you saw the Sheffield United Wolves game, but if you're talking about starting well, how good was Raul Jimenez, by the way, in that game?
Fabulous, wasn't he? Fabulous. I mean, he's
everything. Touch, control, skill, absolutely everything.
Yeah, it was complete, wasn't it? It was. If you're a centre forward, it was the absolute complete show. As you say, not only the goal, but his the way he held the ball up, the way he got fouls in important positions to keep, take the pressure off if there was nobody sort of coming forward to lay it off to. It was a complete centre forward. It really was one that even Andy Carroll would have been proud of in his heyday. But I'd agree with John. I thought if you get an Andy Carroll that's fit, he's really is a handful for anybody. He's sort of like a sort of Duncan Ferguson of old. Really, it is very difficult to stop him but you know, he's no good to anybody on the injury bench. He's not, you know, and that is the key, you know, the key. I would think with Newcastle, where does that leave sort of people like Joe Linton as well? Where does it leave Tammy Abraham for Chelsea? You know, does it mean that the French centre Olivier Giroud, will he move on? Or, you know, if not, because Werner's going to play down the middle, we know that now. But it would be such a waste if Tammy Abraham were playing just in the League Cups. That would really, you know, third choice centre forward. That would be, it would not break my heart. But you know, somebody who 2 years ago, I remember when England played in the under-21s, and he and Foden stood out just like. And you know, Foden is you know, okay, he had that minor blip, but he's going to be, you know, this is a massive season for him. And we're talking about somebody of that ilk is now third choice centre forward for Chelsea. You know, that is now what, you know, whatever you say, and I would agree with John. I was, you know, the silence of the big clubs for Jack Grealish was deafening for me. There was no massive sort of, we want him. Maybe Spurs 12 months ago, whatever, but that's about it. Man United mentioned, but, you know, I don't know. I wonder. I really do wonder for Tammy Abraham, and think he should go. I think he should move on as well now if a team can get him. But it'd have to be a good Premier League team.
He's right, Rico, isn't he? I mean, it's you look at the Mason Mounts. I mean, if all those Chelsea new signings play, you know, the much vaunted youth and academy, they're going to struggle to get a game, aren't they?
The much vaunted youth academy was only there because, of course, they couldn't compete in the transfer window. They got it that way, because that's not normally the Abramovich way, is it? It's you know, here for the present and win what's at stake. You know, not plan for the future. Frank Lampard, I think, is a bit in between. You know, don't forget he's under pressure to win things now straight away. You don't get any time at Chelsea, even if you're a hero like he is. So yeah, I agree. It's disappointing for the likes of Tammy Abraham. I'm with Charlie. I think if he doesn't play regularly, then a move away would suit him. I mean, obviously he did well with Aston Villa. He helped them, you know, in the Championship. He grew up there, matured, and became as Charlie said, a very good player. And very good players should play. Simple as that.
One thing we're going to try and do with Zoomers as we go through the season is actually get your tips, get your thoughts on the games out the weekend. So, Rick, I'll start with you. Everton West Brom. Who wins that?
I've got to say Everton.
You don't have to say if you don't want to, but if you want to, you can.
In all seriousness, I like Everton's new look. I can understand Charlie's apprehension, but I think they're good signings. I think Everton is definitely and easily a top 10 club, and I think they'll be fighting for top 6. So yeah, I go for Everton against West Brom. West Brom, you know, they've got a lot to learn in a short time, really, to stay up. They are the yo-yo club, and I think that'll be the situation this season.
Charlie, Everton, West Brom?
Yeah, Everton. I think Fulham and West Brom are certainties to go down.
Okay, Leeds, Fulham.
That's the game I'm at tomorrow. I'm looking forward to that. Leeds, I think, I'm with Charlie. I think Fulham will go. You know, I like Scott Parker, I like what he's done, but you know, you're against the big boys here. Leeds, very impressed with them the first game against Liverpool, as everybody was. Bielsa was very adventurous. Nothing will change at Ellen Road tomorrow. I think Leeds will overwhelm Fulham.
Charlie?
At Leeds, yeah. I think they may have been slightly flattered by Liverpool's sort of gung-ho sort of, and sort of, you know, you're going to get Virgil van Dijk making a mistake like that every Preston Guild. But they showed enough, and they've got talent. And once I bumped into a senior football trader, and already this was on Wednesday, and they were already concerned. They reckon every football punter in the country is going to wake up on Saturday morning and look at the fixtures and go, "Ooh, Everton, Leeds, Manchester United and Arsenal, the 4 home teams. Put them in an aggregate around about 7-2, 3.5-1, maybe 4 to, sorry, it's over 4-1. Over 4-1, and they're petrified that they will all cop. But I think one of them won't. But it's not.
Which is?
I don't think Arsenal will beat West Ham. I think that will finish in a draw.
Wow. Charlie, Man United Palace, Man United for you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to United, looking to see how they integrate, if they're going to integrate Van der Beek into the side. But they'll be like caged lions, having watched last weekend United. They lost the corresponding fixture, of course, 12 months ago in the Premier League, but they'll be out for revenge. Palace were Palace last weekend, and then we all saw the game against Southampton. They were pretty ugly at times. Wilf on fire. Where will Wilf be on the 6th of October? That's a fascinating thing. But no, I think United 3 points for me.
Rico, Man United Palace, Arsenal West Ham?
Yeah, I think Man United are going to roll over quite a few teams this season if they hit their straps, because they've got the potential to do it. Very exciting. They bought well, which hasn't always been the case over the last few years, but you can't argue the last 2 buys. Wilfried Zaha, he thinks he's a better player than he is, I'm afraid. It's in his head now. He thinks he's going to a big club. I don't think that will happen. I think he's a decent player. I know he's linked with Everton. I don't think Everton would want him now, surely. United for me. Arsenal, been impressed with them. As I say, I think the jury's out with Mikel Arteta. I'm not going down that road yet that he's the new Messiah. But he started off well, and I think there'd be too much for West Ham. I think West Ham are in trouble this season.
Certainly the way things are going, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, of course, has signed on, which they all wanted. Southampton against Tottenham, linked with Danny Ings, Rico. Spurs or the paper saying that they've actually made an approach for him, so it makes it an even more interesting game.
They have, but Ings will be staying at Southampton. Let's see if the real Tottenham stand up. Of course, if Bale plays against the club that nurtured him, this is going to be a very interesting game. But something's not right at Tottenham, even with the signings they're making. So at the moment, I think I'll go for Southampton.
Charlie?
Draw for me. 2 teams who have made underwhelming starts despite Spurs' result in Bulgaria. I was very keen on Southampton. I've got to be honest, at Crystal Palace, and they once they conceded the first goal, they almost looked bereft of ideas. No, I was Nathan Redmond, who I'm a big admirer of. He was completely anonymous and
had an injury in the week, apparently, didn't he, against Brentford as well?
Exactly. And when they played, as I say, a strong team, I think both teams would probably settle for a draw. When you look at what Spurs have got on Sunday at Southampton, Tuesday Leyton Orient, and Thursday in North Macedonia. That can't be fair, can it?
No, it's to be fair, it is strange times. Let's just run, Charlie. I'll stay with you. Let's run through them quickly. Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, Liverpool, Leicester, Burnley, the Sunday games.
Brighton won't lose. Brighton another draw.
Chelsea, Liverpool?
2-1 for Liverpool, maybe 3-1 for Liverpool.
And Leicester, Burnley?
Leicester, whoa. Sorry, Leicester beat... Leicester were flattered by playing probably the baggies at, maybe a Burnley resilient but limited 1-0 Leicester.
Rico, let's go the same with you. Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea, Liverpool, Burnley.
Obvious home winner for Newcastle.
Andy Carroll with the hat-trick.
Alan Wilson, good signing. Well, they've all been decent signings, to be fair. Even Jeff Hendrick played well in the first game. So I was impressed with Brighton against Chelsea.
I like Brighton.
Like Charlie said earlier, I thought they were very unlucky. I mean, it was never a 3-1, and Brighton should have got something. So, you've got to be a little bit worried about Brighton, but I think Newcastle just have enough to steer them home. Next, what was the next
Chelsea,
one?
Liverpool.
Oh, that's right. I've forgotten that one. Yeah, I think Liverpool will have too much for Chelsea. Chelsea trying to gel all these players takes time. I think Liverpool is the machine, isn't it? The complete article. They'll be too strong. Burnley, I worry about Burnley this season. I'm a huge Sean Dyche fan, as you know, and great bloke and superb manager. That they haven't strengthened, they've weakened. I think that they'll struggle this season, and so for me, Leicester.
Rico, stay with you. Just the last two: Aston Villa against Sheffield United, Wolves, Man City.
Aston Villa, Sheffield United, the ghost goal, wasn't it, last season? For Sheffield United, which kept Villa up.
Yeah.
So, strange one, that one. Sheffield United, very up and down. On the day, look excellent, especially going forward. Villa, I think I'll go for a draw, sit on the fence on that one.
And Wolves, Man City. It's a good game, that one, isn't it?
Great game, that one. Two sides that you love to watch. You know, Jimenez, I'm a huge fan of. City be up against it. I wouldn't be surprised if Wolves sneak that one, right?
Charlie, same. Aston Villa, Sheffield United, Wolves, Man City.
And I've just written about the City game and double chance for me. But by a double chance, I mean Wolves to either win or draw. I can't see them getting beat. I'm not convinced Nathan Ake will change an 18-point deficit. And no, I think this is a tough start for Manchester City. I really do. The other game, as you said, wouldn't surprise me if it was 0-0. So a lot of draws, apart from maybe the opening. Let's hope this time next week, John and I, Everton. I've actually written there's every chance that Everton are going to be top of the league in September.
Top of the league. Newcastle as well, top of the league.
No, we'll be top at 12:30 if the 12:30 start. You see, so it's heady height indeed. Almost the end of September.
League tables after 3 games. That was what it was, wasn't it? In the old
Used to be
the 3.
Rico, what have you got for Sunday? Have you got anything that you can let us into? Who have you been speaking to?
Well, I've been doing nothing too exciting. I've been doing the rivalry between Liverpool and Chelsea, which has grown over the years. They've gone into that. I've done a piece about Steve Bruce, about how he's won the critics round, you know, blah, blah, blah.
He's top of the league at the weekend, yeah.
Some nice stuff. And I've done a big piece on Macclesfield Town.
Do you know what? I've written stuff down here. Macclesfield Town. I mean, the Premier League, but Macclesfield Town it's a tragic story. Southend might go the same way. Wigan are in trouble.
Yeah, I'm afraid we always thought. Sorry, bro. We always thought in the past that these things wouldn't happen. They go to the edge of the abyss, but never fall in. I'm afraid the clubs are going to fall in now. It's going to be horrible. I remember as a young kid hearing that Accrington Stanley had gone, you know, and you felt sick because you're a football fan, you know. You're not a fan of one club, you're a football fan. And I'm starting to fear now that there's going to be...
Yeah, I am.
A lot of clubs are going to go. Awful.
Listen, thanks for joining us, Rico. Charlie, thanks for joining us. We'll do the same next week, fellas. All the best to you.
Cheers, Rob. Cheers.